Information on Hurricane Irma. That is correct. It's now a hurricane. And it's very new information as of the 11 o'clock advisory. Just came in. It's fresh off the boat. Right. Just was posted like not even an hour ago. It's been 11 hours since I went to sleep. And as of the 11 o'clock PM advisory, when I went to bed, it was a 65 mile an hour tropical storm. And apparently between the 5 a.m. and the 11 a.m. advisory, it went up 2 categories. We now have a Cat 2 in our hands, 100 mile an hour sustained winds. The pressures aren't too low right now. They're still kind of marginal, about 979 millibars right now. But that's still a pretty significant drop of 999 to 979 in only not even 12 hours, basically 12 hours actually. So Irma now is rapidly intensifying and it should become a major hurricane later today. However, once it becomes a Cat 3 major hurricane, it won't continue to rapidly intensify into a 4 and a 5. It will kind of slow down in its intensification because water temperatures are not conducive for a 4 or a 5 just yet. Water temperatures are in the low 80s, which is conducive for maybe a 3 to a 4, but not a 5. But once Irma goes north of the Leeward Islands and approaches water temperatures above 84, 85 degrees, that's where you can see Irma really begin to crank up and get to the 4 to the 5 category. But Irma could become a 4 in the next 48 hours. It'll probably be a low end 4, maybe 130, 140 mile an hour winds, maybe 145 as it's approaching the islands. However, Irma will not become a 5 until it goes north of the islands. However, if the European model is correct and it does have some interaction with the islands, that could weaken the system slightly, and it might go down to a 1 or 2. In addition, at this point in time, Irma is a threat to the United States because Irma has the potential to do some really bad stuff. I mean, there's also been a trend with Irma. There's been a trend with I-name storms for the last basically 14 years. Every time we had an I-name storm, almost every time, it does really bad things. Isabel in 2003. And then Ivan in 2004, the very next year. Then 4 years later, Ike in 2008. And then Isaac in 2012. So we had 4 I-name storms in a row. Basically, not in a row, but that a lot of property damage and a lot of destruction. And then not to mention Irma now. This may be storm number 5. That's not the only I-name storm that we've had. There have been others too. Isidore, too. If you go way back, there was a hurricane named Isidore, I believe it was Iki in... Actually, yeah. 2002 we had an I-name storm that hit the Gulf Coast as a mild hurricane. Isidore, I believe it was. Brought a lot of bad weather to the Gulf, made landfall as a minor hurricane. And so, yeah, we kind of is a trend for that. In 1999, we had Floyd. We didn't quite get to the I-name storms that year. That year, I think we got into the G names. We had Gert right after Floyd, but that didn't really hit anybody. We had 2 hurricanes that affected the Carolinas in 1999. We had Dennis and then Floyd. But Dennis wasn't that bad, really. It caused some very windy weather in New York, but it was like sunny and windy. Because you had a high pressure to the north and you had that hurricane to the south. And I was wondering, why is it so windy today and why is it so cloudy to the south? It was, I believe it was like really early September. And I was actually still at minicamp, which is for the summer, which meant it was really early September. Because I know it was September. And they said, oh, there's a hurricane. I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't know. Dennis never really became much. And I remember it rained a little bit the next day as Dennis then made landfall in North Carolina and brought some rains our way. But it was a day like this, except there were a lot of high clouds and there were very strong east winds, about 25, 30 miles per hour because of the pressure gradient. Anyway, going back on track, Irma will become a 5 once it gets north of the islands, and it will take that track north and west. The key difference is this year from 2003 is the water temperatures are a little bit warmer, or quite a bit warmer now than they were in 2003. So if the storm takes the same track as Isabel, you won't have it weakening to a 2. You might have it being a 3, maybe even a 4 now. And this could spell big trouble for the East Coast. And this may be a big, bad storm, and people need to be on the lookout. Anywhere, even in the Gulf Coast, watch this storm. If it enters the Gulf, all hell will break loose. And people from the Gulf Coast, from the Eastern Gulf, all the way to New England, watch this storm very, very carefully. Because the models right now are all over the place. I'm only making updates to keep everybody informed. The Weather Channel is doing so as well. This is a very, very dangerous situation. And please monitor this, especially if you're planning any trips to the Caribbean. Also monitor the storm. If you're going anywhere, if you're going to Puerto Rico, monitor the storm. If you have interest in South Florida, monitor the storm. Basically, right now, everybody needs to be on guard for this storm. Watch all the forecasts. Every model you should be paying attention to, because one model can end up being right, another one could be wrong. So it's anybody's guess where this storm is going to go. But there's a lot of consensus that it will impact the East Coast at this point in time. Well, thank you for watching. Bye.